If you follow me at all, you'll know that I created this artwork several months ago, but then I never got around to making the speed paint, so I'm doing it now. Kind of a better late than never. I keep telling myself that if I continue to try to make long form content, eventually I'll get better at it and be more consistent with it. And of course, all of this is an experimentation at some level, so I'm not that upset about not making content every so often. Like, I think it'll be okay and I'll live. But enough about that, I did want to make a process video because I did record this. This is a redraw of the image on the right, which you can see, which is from 2021 or 2022, I think 2022. And obviously it's not like a fantastic work, but I liked it at the time, and when I was looking through old work to redraw, I saw that one and thought, yeah, I'll redraw that. I'm sure I'm a lot better now. And I am a lot better now, but I'm not sure this redraw actively shows that because I did do it in an hour and didn't really refine it past that. Also, please bear with me with any audio issues. I am using new microphones, but I'm not necessarily good at using my microphones yet, so it will have a little bit of strange audio at times. Anyway, obviously I'm working on the sketch here, and since I am redrawing something, it's not particularly different. There were a couple things I wanted to focus on, which was making more distinct facial features as well as making softer and rounder features. The original design for Total Drama characters is very pointy and sticky, obviously because it's tween animation, and that's going to be a little more difficult to make soft and fluid. And over the past 6 years of drawing these two, I have definitely come to my own on how I want to draw them. A large part of this old drawing that I did not like was the coloring. Obviously, Courtney's skin looks ashy, and I know I was going for more of a dulled pastel, desaturated look, so it is consistent with the rest of the image, but it looks bad. And being South Asian myself, I feel like I'm doing such a disservice by making her skin look like that, even if it's a color consistency issue with the entire painting I did previously, so I wanted to fix that here. And then I also wanted to fix the positions because in the previous version, you can see that Courtney's body is facing away from Gwen quite a bit, and I thought that was a little more awkward and a poorer composition overall. And that's not to say the compositions on these are fantastic. They're both pretty bland and boring, but again, it's just mostly for fun and getting back in the groove of drawing. That's typically why I do a redraw. Every time you see me redrawing something, it's because I haven't been in a groove for drawing for a while and I just want to get back into the swing of things without feeling like I have to think very hard about what I'm doing. It's more uncommon now, but it used to be pretty common, so I would redraw a piece every several months or every year. And of course, there's nothing wrong with reusing ideas. In fact, it's a really good idea to reuse ideas. Anyway, at this point, I've started putting in my flats. You can see immediately that I'm picking better and warmer tones. I also made the background gray, and this is to ensure that I'm picking better and warmer tones that are a little higher in contrast and a little better on their own, because using a white background, of course, washes out all of your colors. And obviously I'm changing the color scheme up a little bit. On that previous drawing you can see that there are more pastel tones. I mentioned that earlier, but quite frankly those don't look that good. I don't think it was a great choice on my end. I think I inevitably started with Gwen's hair and then just sort of stuck with whatever I put down there without actually thinking about the rest of the painting in any way, and I was like, oh, I've already done the hair, it's too late to change anything else now. Which I don't really do anymore. Now I will just change everything and like combine my layers and create a new one to change my entire color scheme with the edit buttons and the filter buttons. I want to say that's character growth because I definitely think that's improved a lot of my color usage, especially because like digital art is so good about being editable and changeable in that way. Anyway, in case it was missed because I did not mention it, I do create layers after I put down my flats and my initial sketch, and I make them multiply and add glow layers where I add my highlights and shadows. This makes it a lot easier for me to mess around with the shapes of things without actually having to commit to anything. And then I do merge the layers to blend everything together. I find that this speeds up my process a lot and makes it so I have less muddy colors. I did this several months ago, so I mean, maybe I just wasn't thinking about it at the time. Maybe I was just trying to be relaxed. I'm trying to remember what was going on in my head, but for some reason I did not have a high enough contrast on any of my shadows in this image. I'm not sure if I was still trying to go for a softer look, but I really should have made the darks darker. I don't know what I was thinking here. Everything is still pretty pale. I guess there are just too many midtones and not enough dark shadows. I do have light lights, but the shadows are pretty light. They're way too light. In a way, maybe it's a good thing I'm making this video like months and months later because that does help me critique my own work, and that's always a good thing, especially when it's coming from your future self. I think you're able to see a lot of things you would have liked to do better, and that's always good. It goes to show that even like half of a year can help you improve your skills quite drastically. Um, I don't think I've improved that quickly or that drastically, but I have evidently improved some of my thinking patterns so I can spot these details a little better. I did use a multiply layer to make Gwen's face a little more pink. In the show, she's like very, very pale, and her character is like, I want to say alternative punk god. Like, I have no idea what they were going for there. It was 2008, but she's very pale. She burns in the sun, but I like to think that she's not actually that pale, like, that is a caricature in a sense. And people can be that pale, but it's just, I also wanted to make her blush, so it was a little difficult to make her face so pale and have just the blush spots on her cheeks. I don't know, it didn't look good when I was drawing it. The thing about drawing something so simple like this is the large focus just ends up being on blending and detailing, because once you have the sketch and the flats done and your, major shadows and brights, you don't really need to do that much changing. I suppose that's the same with any drawing, but because this is like essentially character portraits, it's not really a complicated piece to do. And of course, that simplicity could be not so simple depending on how much detail and how much layering you want to do, but I clearly did not have the goal of creating so much layering and so much detail in this. Obviously, if you look at my artwork as a whole, I sort of toe the line between semi-realism and cartoons, I suppose. I'm not that detailed, I'm not that accurate, and I don't try to be. I have tried to be before, and I've tried to be really realistic, and I've done a lot of detailing. I think it's exhausting. I don't like doing that. It's particularly depressing to me, so I stay away from it. Guys, I'm sorry, I'm not that good at focusing on the process of what I'm doing, maybe because it's been several months since I drew this, but also like, I just feel like it's self-explanatory. I feel like you come and watch a speed paint and you understand what's happening. So it's hard to be like, yeah, I did this because you should do this with shadows, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything particularly interesting or complex with this drawing. I just wanted to share the process. And again, this took like 1 hour, so we're already at the end of it anyways. I feel like the most interesting parts are definitely the beginning where you're doing the sketch or where you're planning something out, but this drawing is explicitly boring. I think it's meant to be boring, like it's not the most interesting drawing, it's just sort of warm and full of love, I suppose, but it's definitely not the most interesting composition. But I love talking, and I want to make videos, and if making a simple video helps me make more videos, I'm not opposed to that. I think that's okay. If you can't tell, we're on to the point where I'm adding my final highlights, final detailing, zooming in and out a lot just to double check things, and this is in large part because this drawing really doesn't have any consequence to it. It was simply for fun, for my own amusement, so I don't want to spend a really long amount of time on it. It's not worth that much of my time. And over the years, I've learned that adding some amount of detail can help a painting look finished, even if it's not remotely that interesting. And I think you'll see me signing it in just a few seconds, and then I will be done. Thank you for watching!